Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Andrew Dost. Andrew, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am super excited to chat with you. Cucumber just came out, 2 weeks ago from time of recording here, and for your project, the Metal Bubble Trio, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's such a vibe, and I'm loving it. And I'm so happy to be able to talk to you today.
I'm happy to be here. I love the word Jawn, and I got Philadelphia friends. I grew up listening to the Dead Milkmen, and so I feel like I've had the Philly accent ingrained in my brain forever. It's just like good people.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tie it together because I'm the king of segues or connection pieces and 6 degrees and red strings and all.
Perfect.
Rodney Anonymous from the Dead Milkmen is a DJ on Why Not Radio, as am I.
Hey, wow.
So there we go.
Legend. Complete legend.
Oh, the best.
I don't know him personally, but just grew up with his voice in my ear from, one of the first like punk indie, whatever you want to call them. One of my first like mind expanding things to music that wasn't on the radio.
Yeah. I remember one of the when I got Adobe Audition on my computer for the very first time, the very first thing I recorded was a solo acoustic version of Punk Rock Girl. And I remember I played it for a friend of mine. I was like doing harmonies, solos and all, and I'm not like a solo guy. And I remember I played it for a friend and he was like, your voice just isn't annoying enough. And I was like, it's like, damn, like how is that? How am I taking that as an insult? But it is like...
Yeah, I guess you need to have some degree of irritation. You got to provoke a feeling in one way or another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. So I always like to start these things in the Wayback Machine. Tell me a little bit about growing up. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in northern Michigan, and it was in. I'm only going to tell you Dead Milkmen related history. Dead Milkmen related facts. I first heard the Dead Milkmen in yearbook class. My yearbook teacher, Miss Gwaltney, played them, and. My friend Brian Kibbe bought Death Rides a Pale Cow, and he let me borrow it. And I lost the insert to it, and I gave him back the CD. I felt guilty about this ever since, and I'm realizing now that I keep meaning to send him a CD with the insert to return. It's been 40 years, whatever, but I still owe him that insert. So thanks for the reminder.
It's hilarious because you can't see it, but behind me, there's on the other side of this, there's a shelf, and I've got a bunch of stuff that I brought from when I moved out of my dad's house when we were clearing it out, and I brought it all here. I'm in my basement. That's what the studio is. Sure. But there's a copy on DVD of Enemy at the Gates that a friend loaned to me 20 years ago, and he was like, "Watch this. You're going to love it." And I still haven't watched it. And I swear, much like that, one day I'm going to watch it and I'm going to write like a 5-page report and mail it to him with the report.
No, he would. That's so funny. He would be so touched, I'm sure, to be like, you did it. You not only did you do it, you went the extra mile. And similarly, I have my friend Dan's copy of Blow Up, which apparently is some beautiful artistic French film, maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched it, still got it. It's been 7 years, so you got me beat. But it's hard. It's a commitment. Watching a movie, reading a book, it's a commitment. If I lend a book out, I don't expect to get it back.
Yeah, I'm the same exact way. Like, yeah, if I say, here, you can borrow this, it's essentially like, enjoy your new book.
Yeah, pretty much. My friend Mickey buys, like, if she likes a book, she'll buy 12 copies of it and give them away and just be like, this is my book. That is my book of the year. You have it, rather than lending it and hoping it comes back, just knowing that it won't.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. I used to work for a used and rare book reseller. It was the largest used and rare book reseller on the East Coast. And it was, without a doubt, the best job I ever had in my life. Because similarly, you go through a lot of books, and we threw out and recycled more books than anything. So like I would just go into the recycling bin and just pull out like copies of books that I love and give them to people,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Why would they end up in their recycling bin? Like if they were too beat up or you had so many of them or what?
Yeah, if they weren't in like a sellable condition or if it was like a mass market paperback or something like that,
Sure.
And then, but it was like a great job because there was just always something new crossing my desk that like I never knew about or something like that. And it would be like, oh, this is fascinating. I'm taking this home,
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, probably like like random sources too. They're coming in from like all walks of life and all different places, and um, surprising stuff.
Yeah, and then you start to like kind of wonder about like you start to kind of paint your own picture of what the person was like based on the collection that they dropped off and
Yeah,
all. Like I actually wrote are you familiar with NaNoWriMo, the
yeah, yeah.
novel writing thing? I tried that one year, and the whole premise was based on a murder mystery on that some guy kind of tried to figure out himself based on the books that this murdered person sold to him,
Oh,
and
that is so cool.
because like a leaflet fell out that was like a clue, and instead of turning it in, he was like, "I think I can figure this out."
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. Did you finish it?
No.
Okay. Hey, still got time.
It's in the folder with every other unfinished project that I have.
Oh man, that
So,
is the hardest
oh
thing.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, that is actually to bring it back to Cucumber. That is a funny thing. Like I had a hard time finishing projects for so long. It's really hard to like I have a million ideas all the time. I'm sure you do as well. And I'm sure everybody does on Earth, maybe, but actually seeing it through, putting in the detailed work, the time, the looping in other people to help you get it across, projects are hard to finish. It's so hard to finish a project. So whatever I can do to push you in the direction of finishing that, please finish it. That sounds really interesting. It sounds super cool.
You might have just added it to my 2025 list. Maybe I have to
Yeah, I mean,
revisit that.
take 20 minutes a day,
Yeah.
whatever, how long
Um,
you're on your phone. That's kind of what I started doing is like just putting my phone away and being like, there goes like 5 hours of my life every day I get back now. That's cool.
Yeah, well, that's like with songwriting because I'm a part-time songwriter, I always find that if I don't get the meat like 75% of the song finished, at least in some sort of form of like, I know the framework of this song, forget about it. It's never going to get done because like
Sure.
I'll forget and I'll lose the momentum and just, so like much like screenplays, much like novels, I have all of these fragments of songs that I'm like, someday I'll circle back and I never do.
Sure. It's hard though, like especially because in my voice notes, I don't name anything, so it's all like my address. And I'm just like, okay, like which what like when that felt like maybe it was maybe in like December, so maybe I'll look through the Decembers and hope for the best, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to finish song snippets.
So
That's
speaking of projects, but this one was actually finished. I just have a question because this is something that has hit me since we started setting this up. Why is Columbus not streaming anywhere?
uh first first time I've been asked that actually. I'm so glad you asked. Wow, that's some deep digging, some deep research. Uh Columbus, first of all, I like it. I have no problem with it. I think it's good. I think it is what it is for a dumb kid that wrote a musical in college. I also think it was written kind of from a place of ignorance and privilege. I knew Columbus was a bad guy. I didn't really know the extent of raping and killing and all of the things that we kind of now all know about Columbus. So in my musical, he befriends the Native Americans. They have the first Thanksgiving together and he becomes the president. And it's all kind of in jest. But I think at a certain point, this is like during the Black Lives Matter, the biggest kind of movement of that, the peak kind of, I was like, man, I didn't really think through the fact that like these were human lives. This was a really serious atrocity that has had like repercussions throughout the rest of history as we know it. It's probably I don't like being some dumb kid that did a thing that kind of like was like, "Duh," and then they all loved him too. Um, so I took it down because I thought like this is like I don't know if I think my heart was in the right place, but I don't think my brain was, I think it like there are better ways to talk about something like that. And I think making fun of it is maybe not the best way. So it didn't feel right to me to keep it up.
That's fair. That's actually really fair and admirable. Like, I'm actually working on it's so weird, so many parallels. I'm actually working on a project right now for a storytelling podcast that I guest on every once in a while about a project that I worked on similarly in college that kind of went viral in the earliest days of the internet.
Sure.
And trying to reconcile that like the site no longer exists, but of course nothing goes away on the internet. So it's like kind of reconciling like I meant this as a joke, this was satire, but also like it is like kind of it sucks to read, like even though
Yeah,
like
yeah,
like even though I know that that wasn't my intent, I also know that I don't get to decide how other people receive what I put
yeah.
out.
That's exactly it. I don't get to decide. And I don't I don't know. Maybe people would take it the right way. Maybe they would take it the wrong way. Maybe it was fucked up of me to do in the first place. I don't know. So let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
Happy to
So
talk about it. It did happen. It's not like an embarrassment or a mark on, I hope nobody would think like this guy's racist, this guy's a right-wing idiot, whatever. Like I think I just didn't know.
yeah, for
I
sure.
want to learn. I want to know. I want to do better. So, what is your project? Do you mind talking about it?
The storytelling or what the actual thing was.
The thing, yeah. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, no, because it's going to be like I'm going to tell it on a national podcast and on
Sure,
stage.
sure.
So like I might as well start slow rolling this. It was a website called Cartoon Girls I Want to Nail, and it was it was like a satire like of what I would do to cartoon characters, but it wasn't like I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like cartoon porn or anything like that. It was just like really over the top like uh edge lord kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that kind of thing
Oh,
because it was the 90s, man. That's what we did. I don't know, like I'm
yeah.
not trying to excuse it, but like explain it if that makes sense.
It was a very different time, and I know everybody says that about dumb stuff they did, but like humor was different. Like nothing would fly now that flew then, and I just like to think that like similarly, it sounds like you own it and want to move on and whatever. I don't know. It was I don't know, like you and your friends and me and my friends were just doing dumb stuff and making dumb jokes, and it's unfortunate, but that here we are now learning, trying harder and being more patient, kind and empathetic, and that's all we can do.
And that's exactly what the piece that I'm working on is all about, which is like growth. That like,
Yeah.
the problem isn't to me when these things happen. The problem is when someone can't learn that what they did, when people dig their heels in and double down and they're like, no, you're the asshole. And it's like, relax, like just
Right.
listen to what other people are telling you. I will say though, with the project that I did, one of the things that definitely can't go away is there's an entire passage of my website quoted in, do you know who Maureen Dowd is? The New York Times columnist.
Sounds really familiar. I'm sure.
She's the one who broke the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Okay.
She
Wow.
wrote about it in her book, Are Men Necessary? And
Yeah.
yeah,
That
so
hurts.
it does. It does. Especially because she takes it on its face. And that's when I started to realize like, oh, I don't get to decide how people read this. So yeah, of course, reading it like that from that aspect, it definitely sucks, like yeah, but we
Oh
all
man,
grow.
I'm sorry. Like that, I think I know the feeling that you feel when that maybe came out, where you're just like, I feel like my body is tingling and my heart explodes, and I'm just like, but no, like I'm not a bad guy, I promise. Like, and you feel like a bad guy or whatever,
That's exactly it. That's
it's a tough,
exactly it.
it's a tough thing. But I mean, I think we're all just learning and doing our best. And yeah, it's well, you said it exactly. Like it's when you double down that I think we have a problem. And I think that's I don't know if a lot of your fan base is right wing or left wing or whatever,
They're
but I
they're
will go on
most certainly not. Yeah.
record. I will say that like that's one of the things that really bums me out about the kind of political state that we're in right now is it feels to me like the right cannot really like admit when something is bad or wrong. And it's then lashing out at like the woke mob or whatever when it could just be like, you know what, I'm sorry, I did some dumb stuff, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, like I look at this like this whole thing with Elon Musk, right? Like, just say like if you truly did not mean it, you go, oh, you know what, I fucked up, but I see it, it's fucked up, and
Right,
that,
like,
yeah,
oh, that totally. I
yeah,
get it. I
yeah.
get it. Yeah.
But like to double down and be like, oh, you're the asshole. It's like, nope, yeah,
Right.
you're giving up the secrets right there. You're just saying it out loud.
That whole thing has been just scary, scary. It's very scary. I don't really
It's
know
really
what.
tough. It's really tough, and I don't know. I honestly don't know that I can take 4 years of this. I really don't. Like it's
Yeah. It's dark. It got dark real fast. Day
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. But in darkness, there's always light, and we try to focus on the light. And something very light is cucumber to me. Look at me. Give me
Yeah. There we go.
segues.
Nice. Nice pivot.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Yeah.
So there was some film scoring and stuff like that in between the end of Fun and then kind of the Metal Bubble Trio stuff. Like, was how much of that was due to the success of Fun and it ending, that like, you kind of took that space before diving into, kind of actual, like, putting a project into the world that you're kind of involved in there, like that?
Yeah. Well, I have always been interested in film music. It was something I wanted to do from a fairly early age. And then when Fun started to get popular, I started asking around, like, how can I turn this into a film scoring career? Because a lot of my favorite composers, Danny Elfman with Oingo Boingo, for example, like, or Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo, like, they were band dudes that transformed themselves into composers. And that's kind of the mold I kind of see for myself in terms of, like, I can write melodies. I love arranging. I love textures. I love experimenting. I love working with the emotionality of a story. I love all that. I want to maybe not tour as much, but be home and work and do that kind of detailed, meticulous work to film. So it was kind of part of the intention right from the get-go. Um, Got into it. I still would love to do more. It's not something I'm done with, absolutely. But Cucumber kind of took the reins a little bit in terms of just, I've been trying to write songs this whole time. Ever since Some Nights came out, like, we were trying to write songs for the next Fun album. I was trying to do things individually, do co-writing with people, and I just kind of hated everything I was doing, and that was frustrating. You try to do something and you don't like it, and I've been there before, but I thought I had kind of grown out of it. I thought like, once I got to a certain level with my ability to at least hear something and bring it into the world, I thought I was kind of there. And then all of a sudden that ability kind of left me, trying to write pop songs, trying to, like, make another big smash, trying to write tender, whatever, sensitive singer-songwriter stuff in the woods, trying to work with other people. I was trying to do all these things, and I didn't feel really emotionally connected to any of it. And then suddenly, during the pandemic, I started taking, like, online guitar lessons and realizing, like, I really want this chord to move into that one. And I was curious, and I was interested in stuff, and I was making stuff that I liked, and I realized I was writing songs, like quote unquote, 3-minute songs. And I realized, like, oh, I kind of like these. I kind of want to share these and play them with people and get out in front of a crowd and play it. And it just kind of unfolded naturally, I guess, through some curiosity and through some learning and trying. And I guess to take it back to the actual question you asked, which I've now gone a mile from, it wasn't really my plan to get distance, but it kind of naturally worked that way. It kind of worked out. So I had a little bit of space. I got more connected to the process of writing and sharing and collaborating than I did to, like, if this song isn't number one, then it's garbage. And that was the kind of place I was for a while, where I was like, well, it's no We Are Young. So no,
Yeah.
because I think that can happen when you have a song go big, or two, we had a big album with full of them. So it felt like these all better be that good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I can't even imagine, like, what, I guess, when you create something that's that ubiquitous as We Are Young was, and most of Some Nights, to be honest, but like We Are Young, you could not escape, and from a creative standpoint, I can see how that would be both thrilling and crippling in the same breath. Trying to chase that again, or be like, I know that what I do can create that. So why is this not doing that? But how do you step away from that? Like, how do you compartmentalize, I guess, to
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was about connecting to the process of like, how do I write songs? Do I actually enjoy writing songs? Or am I trying to get at this perceived goal of like a big hit or something? And some people can do that really well. There are songwriters that are hit writers and they're great at it. And for me, I just never know if something is working or not. All I can really know is like, do I like this? Do I want to play this? Do I want to show people this? Do I get a good feeling as I'm writing it and excited to move into the next section and excited to pick it up from day to day and like, oh, I get to tinker with the song Cucumber or whatever. Um, for me, yeah, it was getting excited about the process rather than the result. And I think that I've realized that's kind of a through line in all the art that I do is like, I better have fun making it because if I don't, then I'm probably not going to like what I make, Like I should feel that sense of enjoyment. And it's hard, it's work. Don't get me wrong. It's laborious and tedious and all that, but there is like a satisfaction to it is like doing the good work, doing the Lord's work, or even if it's like dumb songwriting stuff, it's like still feels satisfying and true to what I am and not like a costume that I'm putting on or something.
That's beautiful, and like it makes sense too. Like much smaller scale, but whenever I'm like looking at like the numbers of this podcast, which is something that happens, or anything, the socials or engagement or whatever lingo I'm supposed to use in 2025. I sometimes I get lost, and sometimes I much like you, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, do I enjoy this or whatnot? But then I do things like this. Like this is the actual this is what always brings me back is having conversations with people I admire and people whose art that I like and that I like to engage with. I always liken this podcast as me talking back to my radio. Like I hear something I like and I'm like, I want the thing I like to talk back to me.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I love that.
But I do find it interesting that it was over the pandemic that you found that because like that's kind of like I feel like where a lot of us found what actually truly makes us happy. In that time we were given because we had nothing but time to kind of find ourselves.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did, and I've never wanted to cast this as like a pandemic record because it's more than that, but like.
Yeah.
It is exactly like you said. Like it was time to cut away a lot of the stuff of like, well, I'm not going to an industry party to schmooze and whatever. Like I am home with my dog and my laptop and my guitar. So what else am I gonna do? Well, I could go for walks, play basketball, whatever. But like, it allowed us time and freedom to just what do I actually want to do today? I got 15 hours of what? What do I fill it with? I don't know. And then you kind of feel those pulls in certain directions where you're like, oh, I'm going to pick up that shiny thing and look at it for a minute. And yeah, I hope that it led a lot of people into like things they're passionate about and things they enjoy and maybe just more time with their family, whatever. And they realize like, I need to do that more. I need to be with my family more.
Yeah. Yeah, and from what I'm reading, or what I've read, kind of researching, getting ready for this chat that we're having, it seems like when you get out and play this stuff live, like you get to kind of live in the creation and kind of live in the moment and kind of, even explore things that may not appear on the album or whatnot. How freeing is it to be able to get back out on stage and just kind of enjoy the experience?
Oh, it's awesome. I love it so much. It's really when I named the band Metal Bubble Trio, I really kind of had hopes that it would turn into a jazz project and or jam project. Like I think the lines are pretty blurry between like the Grateful Dead and Miles Davis or whatever. Like if you really kind of like look at the heart and the approach, and maybe those two aren't the best examples to pair together, but whatever. Like fluid mastery of your instrument, playing with people you trust and love and know what they're going to say to you and how to react to, like I think there's a lot of similarity there. So that's what I want the band to be. And as the band has gotten tighter and better and we've played together more and we've just hung out more, like I think we like each other's company and stuff. So that's a lot of fun to just know that I can trust them. And if it's time for this guy Tom to take a guitar solo and he wants to really like stretch out with it, cool, great. I'll be there to pick it up when you're done. Like stuff like that. Like it's fun to let a song exist as like the idea, the recorded idea, which is important and special, and that's the thing that I go crazy for. I love recording, I love the studio, but also to get to stretch out with that live and feel the crowd and get into the energy of a moment and really, it's a much more fluid thing that I think I've learned to really enjoy a lot, rather than being like, this is the song and we play it exactly like this. This is that, and it's only that. It might be totally different. So we'll do an acoustic show. Our bass player is a cellist by trade. So like we'll do just a cello and guitar show, or, we kind of fill the vessel of the show based on what it requires and how we're feeling, which is a lot of fun for me.
That's killer. Are you guys taking this on the road at all, or?
Trying to. As of right now, everybody in the band has families and jobs and stuff, except for me. So we've been limited to the Midwest, but this year I'm hoping to push farther and deeper and go away. We've only played one show out of Michigan so far, but I'm hoping to link up with a lot more this year.
Cool. I hope there's an East Coast portion to it, because I will definitely check
It
that
will
out.
be. East Coast is close. I can drive to. I've driven from my house to Brooklyn in, I think it took me 14 hours. So that's not bad. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Is it a good drive?
I liked it a lot. You go
Okay.
through Pennsylvania, you go through what is it, Indiana? Is that what's over there?
I think
Ohio, I guess.
Ohio is definitely there. Yeah.
There's diners along the road. There's, it's a fun enough drive.
Because I've made the drive to Florida, which is similar to that 14 or 16 hours or so,
Yeah.
and I always forget how large Virginia is. Like,
Totally. Yes. Absolutely. Feel like Pennsylvania's kind of like that too, where it's like, oh right, it's like a big rectangle and I got to go all the way across
yeah,
it. Like
yeah,
we're still there, still in that state.
it's wild.
State. I do love it there, but
It's all right. It's got places. Um, the one thing I wanted to ask you, which is, you're so musically inclined, and music has been such a passion in your life. How do you end up going to school for journalism and advertising then, and not music?
well, great question. I when I was looking at what to do with school, I didn't have to sign up for a major right away, so I didn't really know. But I played trumpet, and I knew that I didn't want to study trumpet. And so part of like the music program was, your focused instrument. And for me, I was not good enough at guitar or piano. I can play them just fine, but I'm not like a classical dynamo by any means. But with trumpet, that was my kind of serious focus throughout high school. I was pretty good at it, but I didn't want to play in like a brass quartet and the symphonic whatever and do, and spend 18 hours of private lessons, like getting really good at the trumpet. That just was not for me. And so I thought, well, like in like, I don't know, Bewitched, the guys in advertising, and in like, in like movies, people are in advertising. And I thought like, I could be in advertising. Like, that sounds cool. Like make up a jingle, talk about like how we want to sell, whatever. This is before Mad Men. So Mad Men really was kind of like, that's what I thought I was going to do. That sounds great. Um, but yeah, so I just kind of thought like, what is the thing that I think maybe matches my skill set and might offer me a fallback plan if music doesn't work out. Um, and fortunately, I ended up using, it was a lot of like graphic design, photography, marketing stuff that ended up kind of like being useful. I do graphic design. I do that stuff for the projects. And now I work with my friend Tommy, who handles a lot of the MBT graphic design and branding and stuff. And he's a genius. so I'm happy to pass it off to him. But like, if I can crank through a sticker and make a cool little dumb sticker, then like I still like to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was trying to find a way to make a parallel between I forget his name. I might have this right, but Tony Asher, who wrote all of the
Yeah.
songs on Pet Sounds, was
Yep.
in
Yep.
advertising.
Absolutely.
So like,
Yeah.
there's a relationship there. There's definitely
Absolutely. Yeah. Economy of phrase and like knowing kind of what works and knowing like, okay, I'm not going to be satisfied with this thing, but this word, if I eliminate it, then it sings, stuff like that, that like, I think, you can hear that his work on Pet Sounds really is like economical, but also like beautiful and deeply felt. It's funny. I listened to Smile yesterday. I'm a big Van Dyke Parks fan too. And like,
oh yeah.
that's kind of the opposite. That is stuffed to the brim with all kinds of weird stuff. Van Dyke definitely was, to my knowledge, he did not study advertising, but he sure is brilliant.
It's great. Oh man, it's so good. The other thing I was going to say, which is, all of the projects you've worked, that you wanted to do film scoring, totally makes sense because all the projects you work on do kind of have a cinematic feel to them. If not, we talked about Columbus, but have you thought about doing like any kind of like a musical or write the book to a show or something?
Yeah, and I've tried a couple times. Nothing has really connected. Like I started one myself. Nate from Fun and I started working on one together that had a book already. And then the band actually was working on another one. I was working on another one individually off screenplays that people had hired us to do. All of those things kind of collapsed and or just kind of disintegrated. Like the one with Nate, I don't think we even ever said like, let's stop doing this. But at some point, we just stopped talking about it and it never came up again. And I don't know what happened. It's just sitting on a hard drive somewhere, 4 or 5 songs. The band one, they gave us an advance and we ended up taking so long to do it that they were like, we need the advance back. And so
Oh, geez.
we all had to give back. I think it was like $6,000. It wasn't much. So, but we each had like $2,000 that they gave us and we were so stoked. And then it hurt to give that back. But we were also like, well, at least we don't have to do that project anymore. Anyway, to answer the question, I would love to. I love musicals. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, and especially to think about getting it up anywhere, the amount of like talent and people and money that takes to invest the time up front to write something is challenging. But I'm not certainly. I like if I had an idea that I really, really wanted to see through to the very end and put my life force into it, I would try for it for sure. I just haven't felt that thing kick in me quite yet.
Yeah. Did anyone ever approach you guys to jukebox musical some nights? Because
Yeah, we had some approaches, and then Moulin Rouge actually uses "We Are Young," so and there was another one that might use some nights too. But I know that Moulin Rouge has a bit of "We Are Young" in it, which is cool. I don't know if I don't know. I need to look into like if I get paid for that. I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, I would love to because I do think there's a story, there's a cinematic quality to it. It has highs and lows and different textures and stuff. So I think it would lend itself well to that. If any producers are listening, I don't know. I think we're open to it.
yeah, let's put that energy out there. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, yeah. This actually, when Hamilton got big, I had people saying like he totally like this guy heard Columbus and like wanted to take and I'm like, no, he didn't. There is no way this guy heard Columbus, wrote Hamilton off of that.
I am just imagining Lin-Manuel listening to this interview and spitting his milk out and being like, oh my God, he knows.
You caught me. Also, yeah, I like that he's drinking milk.
Yeah.
Like just surrounded by gallons of milk, all the milk that Hamilton money can buy.
It's hilarious. No, even that project he just did back in, I guess, October or whatnot, the Warriors concept album. Like, I feel like there's an opportunity right now for more things in that vein. Like, I feel like people are open to kind of things that they've closed themselves off on for a while, because I'm a big musical guy myself, and like the death of the movie musical to me like is one of the great film tragedies, because
Sure.
like, you know, like I just not a musical, but it's shot like a musical. I just rewatched Adventures of Robin Hood, the Errol Flynn film, and like
Oh, okay.
there's just like some of the staging of the fights to me function like how the staging of musicals used to be, and it's just to me like a lost art, like that kind of studio, you know, grand studio production or whatnot. But man, I would love to see that come back.
Yeah, especially, I bet that would do really well. Like West Side Story, I think was a great example of like you can keep that kind of camp color scheme and they're dancing, it's beautiful, but it is like kind of ridiculous in
Yeah.
the way I haven't seen that version of Robin Hood, but I'll bet there's like some cool swashbuckling like soundstage stuff, and I'll bet that would do really well if you shot like that film in that way with color, like the greens and the reds would pop really mute in a muted way. Like there would be a way to make that work in a modern context really well, I think. Maybe that's it. Are we
Maybe that's
writing
the
a
musical.
musical?
We're doing it, dude. I'm
Are we
in.
writing a Robin Hood musical?
You have my number. We'll make it
All
happen.
right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
no, it's incredible. Definitely check it out. There's a line in there that I'm definitely not going to remember about him making it his job to fight fight you until his dying day. That like was like my rallying cry post election. Like I was like, yes, no, don't give up. That's it. Robin Hood, let's go.
Oh,
Like
that's cool.
there's a parable. There's a parable there. I'm telling you.
Oh, big time. That's like, and the weird thing is, I think they think it's the other way around. Like, I think those guys think they're doing the good thing.
yeah.
So clearly not. It's like, yeah, it's like sh the sheriff of Nottingham is like running the show or something. It's really weird.
And he's standing on stage giving Sig Heils. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that actually is something I kind of wanted to touch on, which is the Ally Coalition. Like, you know, you guys have done great work with that, and I gotta think that like right now, in kind of the temperature of where we're at right now, like people just can only help more. If you know, tell the listeners a little bit about the Ally Coalition, because it's a fantastic group.
Thank you. Yeah, the Ally Coalition is a group that we founded in maybe 2012 or 13, thereabouts, uh, with the intent of helping LGBTQ youth. And there are a lot of wild statistics about, like the majority of of homeless youth are gay, trans, etc., because their parents kick them out. And a lot of groups are in place to help those people. And basically, we were like, we've got a kind of a voice and some money and kind of a platform here. What should we do with it? That seems like a very big problem. It seems like human rights seem to not be applying to gay rights, and that is very, very wrong and very, very scary. So that has been our push to try to get money to people who need it, especially LGBTQIA plus youth and the foundations that help support them. So we do a lot of work with the Ruth Ellis Center here in Detroit, and they have like we helped them build a new center. They have now 48 beds. They've got psychiatric care. They've got hormone therapy. They've got just clothes and places to shower and change, and toiletry kits that kids can take, and adult. Like it's not just kids. It's whoever needs it. But yeah, just trying to connect to groups and people who are kind of in the streets and on the ground on the front lines doing the hard work for homeless youth, and then also by proxy like legal stuff. Gay marriage is now under fire, or maybe has already been signed out of law. Like there's like this crazy shit that's happening that is anti-human rights, anti-trans, Trump was running anti-trans ads. Um, anyway, just as like we're all straight, we're all white. It's a spectrum. It's fluid of sexuality and gender, whatever. Like I've identified in various ways through the years, but the truth of the matter is that like nobody's like hassling me right now, and people are hassling a lot of other people. And the Ally Coalition was kind of our way of saying like, you mess with them, you mess with us, kind of, or we'll at least give you money, or
Yeah.
um, doing what we can to kind of help, basically. And I think it's hard. I think there's a tendency to feel like or be or behave like a white savior or something, which has always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't want to feel like we're big, strong, straight dudes that are helping the people who can't help them. I don't want it to ever feel like that, but I do tend to think like if I can put my money here and buy a watch, or here and provide some food and beds for people who need it, I would rather do that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the point of the Ally Coalition from the beginning, and it's really transformed into something cool with like many people doing many different things. Like the staff is incredible. They work so hard. A lot of bands are helping out. A lot of bands are giving $1 from every ticket sale on tour to the Ally Coalition, who then gives it to, Gay Straight Alliances or Ruth Ellis Center or different Trevor Project or whatever. So these bands are on board. The staff is incredible. It's gone bigger than I think we could have ever imagined in terms of like the reach and the scope and the money we've been able to give out. It's just really more than I ever could have dreamed. It's really cool.
An incredibly beautiful thing, and completely admirable, and I commend you for it. Like I said, especially now, like because like I kind of have been repeating this over and over as much as I can, but like right now, like the only thing I feel like I can do is help people that need help. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can fight. I don't feel like I have that in me anymore. Like I do feel beaten down, but what I am going to do is help people who are struggling right now. And there are so many
Sure.
people struggling, and so many people who, even, as little as I can do, I'll do whatever I can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just watched, it was Jesse Eisenberg interviewed by Bill Maher, maybe. I can't remember. But he was talking about, he was echoing kind of what you just said. Like all these people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos or whoever, they've got all this money. Why are they getting into this? Like why politics and Nazism and stuff? Like, why don't they help people with it? Like it's relatively easy to help people. They could essentially end homelessness and end hunger. Like, why aren't they doing that? Like, why doubling down on the Sig Heil? Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? Like, buy
Yeah.
buy somebody a hot meal. Why don't you? I don't know.
It's insane. It's absolutely. We live in a very weird world, and I don't always understand it. But there are people out there, much like yourself, who do kind of make me realize that it doesn't all suck. Like
I hope that is true. I hope it does not all suck. I mean, I suck. I suck plenty too in other ways, I'm sure. But
yeah.
we're trying. Lord help us.
The other thing I wanted to talk about on Cucumber is holding on to featuring theMIND, which is it's already made my favorite songs of 2025 playlist.
Oh
Like,
wow. Oh man.
which actually a lot of good music came out this month. I was absolutely happy with some stuff that came out. I don't know if you've heard the Lambrini Girls record, but holy
No.
shit, it's so good, really good.
Lamb, Lambrini.
Yes.
Okay, I'll check
Um,
that out.
it's kind of I like to call it female idols. If you're familiar with idols,
Oh, I love Idols. Yeah.
hell yeah,
Dude, Tank was maybe my favorite album of last year. It was so good.
it's great. But yeah, holding on to is absolutely phenomenal. You got theMIND on there. What was kind of the genesis of like how did he get involved with Metal Bubble?
Uh, funny. You should bring that song up, especially because he's in Philly right now.
Oh no
Um,
shit.
yeah, yeah. He lives in Chicago, but I think visiting family or hanging in Philly for a minute. But because we tried to shoot a video together, and I was like, I can come down to Chicago. It's not that far. And he was like, Well, I'm actually in Philly.
Oh
Anyway, uh, so funny. Another funny next connection. I wrote the instrumental. I wanted it to be kind of like Ooh La La by Run the Jewels, because it was like soon after that came out, and I was like, this is cool. Like, what would the bossa nova version of that be? Like a nice summer breezy bop kind of thing. So I wrote the instrumental. Usually I have all these melodic ideas. Like I tend to write a piece of music and I hear what the top line would be. And for that, I just didn't have anything. Like there's some instrumental melodies that kind of drift in and out, but there was no real strong vocal through line to drive it. So I gave it to the singer of my first kind of proper band called Anathallo, thinking like I love his lyrics, I love his melodies. Matt can help me out. Like Matt will know what to do with this. And Matt said, I'm going to give it to this guy Zig, theMIND, and I'm going to see what he does with it because they were working together, and he kind of thought like, I'll bet theMIND is going to have some good ideas here. So to my knowledge, Zig just kind of walked around with it in his headphones, kept it for a few days and really kind of wrote the plan out, sent it back to me, more or less what you hear now, like pretty darn close. And I think they made a couple tweaks and added some different things, and then I sang a little bit over it too. But more or less, the Zig just took it and did it. So that's a lot of just theMIND. I didn't give him any conceptual information. I didn't give him any. I just was like, Matt, help me, and then he did through theMIND. And it weirdly to me echoes so many of the other themes that are on the record in terms of like jealousy and loneliness and wanting to feel special and wanting to the picket fence and the barbecues on the major, all these different themes that I'm like, I was really feeling a lot of that stuff. So when he sent it back, I was like, this is it. Like you did it. You nailed it. And there's a down section in the middle of the song where it gets very traditional bossa, very quiet. And I thought like, whatever I do, I'm going to cut that out because that doesn't need to be there. It's too traditional. It's too much. It's too kind of old school. And then he did it over that part too. And it's my favorite part of the song. I was like, it doesn't sound like tacky anymore. It doesn't sound trite. It sounds like the most tender, vulnerable part of the record now because of you. So I couldn't be more grateful for both of them for the time and the work they put into it. And like theMIND is just an artist like nobody else, in my opinion. I think he's doing just such cool things. I think he's really talented, and I've gotten to see firsthand how hard he works and how thoughtful he is and how deeply he approaches his work. And it's just I'm just honored to have him as a part of the record. I couldn't, I'm just feel very lucky.
Yeah, the spirit of collaboration that's kind of what the spirit of collaboration has kind of brought out of your songcraft and all is absolutely phenomenal on this album. Like I said, big fan of it. I've been listening to it a lot, and I'm so glad to chat. Do you want to go through this little questionnaire thing that I close these interviews out with?
Sure.
It's called the Jawntlet. It starts with the one hit wonders. It's one hit in name only. Of the segment. Obviously, these are not one-hit wonders, but Billy Joel or Elton John, who do you prefer?
Okay, this one is one of the ones where I was like, I'm gonna have to get into some detail here. So I love them both so deeply. Gut reaction, I would say Elton John. Just because for him the highs to me are higher they make my heart do higher leaps. Like when I hear Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, my heart like feels a certain way that like, I don't know, is unusual. But Billy Joel, there are some things that do the same, like, and so it goes, Always a Woman. He's got like probably 10 or 15 songs too that do something similar. It's a tough question. It's a very tough question because they do different things. So I'm still gonna say Elton simply because like the glasses and the pageantry, and for Leave On, for Your Song, for Daniel, but don't sleep on Billy.
Yeah.
He's I think one of the top lyricists, melody writers, songwriters. You name it, Billy can do it all. He's awesome.
It's awesome. He does something Elton did at times too, but Billy Joel does something that I find is missing in music, and I'm now just realizing mentally. I have another show that I host with Bruce Warren from WXPN. It's called Too Old, Too New, and it's a music discovery podcast where we just bring 2 old songs and 2 new songs each week and chat about it. But I was lamenting the lack of epic nature of popular music anymore. That like there's no songs used to have movements and and
Yeah.
different theme changes and stuff like that. And Billy Joel was always so good at that. But now it just clicked in my head. Fun was very good at that as well. And I think that was one of the things that drew me, like even early on, like I actually was an Aim at Ignite fan. And then when Some Nights blew up, it didn't put it together that it was the same band. I was like, oh, they got the same name as, but like, and then,
Yeah,
and
they're very different. Yeah.
but yeah, like it goes back to the theatrical nature and the film scoring and all. I get it now. It's all
For
making
sure.
sense.
Yeah, we wanted that to be a part of Aim at Ignite, like with Be Calm and with like at least I'm not as sad as I used to be. And we wanted these big dramatic ebbs and flows. And with Some Nights, I think we were consciously like, let's do less of that. Let's get on a grid. Let's have a beat that goes relatively consistent. And then let's make that let's cut away the whatever these like technicolor elements are and kind of keep it a little bit more right down the middle. But we're all such like Queen and musical fans that we can only get so far away from our tendencies.
Yeah, yeah. Next one, Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Man, Debbie Harry, oof,
Yeah.
genius, so talented. Hanging on the Telephone. I mean, the obvious ones, but that one to me is just like
That's my favorite. That's my favorite Blondie song.
really, yeah, it's so good. It's like the best punk song ever, kind of in some ways. It's just so good.
Yeah.
I'm Joan Jett, no shade to her whatsoever, but like Debbie Harry, iconic, just so good.
Yeah, for sure. Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
I would go Aretha, but I'm basing that on the fact that I feel that she was on Motown and I feel like she's from Detroit, but I'm now realizing I might be wrong about that. Is she a Detroiter?
She might be. I don't think she was on Motown though.
Okay. I still got to go Aretha. She's the
That's
queen.
fine. Yeah. Yeah.
But then
Again,
Tina Turner's the other one. Tina Turner's great too.
there are no wrong answers to these,
Sure.
except for the next one: Nirvana or Pearl Jam.
Oh, this one's an easy one. Nirvana.
Oh, see, wrong answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Really? Okay. I mean, I can see Pearl Jam. I can see people when people like them a lot. I get it. But for me, especially to come of age when I came of age and to be like, you hear Smells Like Teen Spirit and it changes the way your brain functions. Like you are never the same. For me, at least, I was not the same after I heard that song.
Yeah.
It was a different world. Like I grew up when I heard that song, kind of in some ways. And Pearl Jam is a good band, but Nirvana it's like, do you like water or like some other liquid that you could drink?
Yeah, I get
You got to go water. I don't know.
Yeah. I completely understand. Nobody has to explain themselves to me.
That's part of the fun, though.
Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
This is a tough one because Stevie has had so much more of a chance to explore her artistry, and we really know who she is and who she developed into and the way she evolved. Janice, love her. She didn't get to say a lot, really, but what she did say was so powerful. I'll go Stevie just because I feel like I know her. Like I know, like you feel like you get to know these people as their artists from what they communicate to you. Sadly, we don't really get that with Janice, but so I'll go Stevie.
That's no great.
What about
answer.
you? Do you ever answer these, or you just?
I have. I'll text you the video. I actually put myself. Well, it was an older version of this, but I put there were some changes I made. Like I used to do David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, but everybody always says David Lee Roth. Yeah.
Right.
So like I had to get rid of it.
Sure.
But I put myself through this. Interviewed by this puppet back here. His name's Petey, and Petey interviewed me and did it. I'll send you the link.
my
but
gosh. Love
but
that.
like I'm a Stevie Nicks guy, though. Like you said, like Janice was just a firehouse, but like that fire was put out way too soon. The big cliche: Beatles or the Stones?
This one for me is another easy one. The Beatles.
I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Stones, of course. The Stones are great, but the Beatles are like the truth. It's like the ultimate beauty and perfection of songwriting and music, and the template for what a band is. Like four lads from Liverpool, guitar, two guitars, bass, drums. That is like what it is, you know. Like I remember being a kid, hearing the Beatles for the first time, and just I like wore the tape out. I couldn't believe it. Like, and it was early Beatles, which I still love the early Beatles. I of course love like what they grew into and the studio magic of the later years, and you know, Abbey Road's my favorite album of all time. But that early stuff is what really just made me want to be a musician. I heard that and was like, all right, I'm not going to be a veterinarian or a professional basketball player. I'm going to, which, as a fourth grader, you kind of still think you could, I guess, or maybe not everybody, but I did for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that about the early Beatles, because as I've gotten older, I've become a much bigger early Beatles fan than even late period Beatles. And my
Really?
favorite Beatles album of all time is Beatles for Sale.
Okay. Okay.
And so I get super weird about early Beatles. Like I'm all like, because I don't know that there's ever been a tighter band than they were in that time period. Like it's insane how like just perfect they are.
Yeah, I mean to play live with screaming people and you can't even hear each other and they're still laser precise with each other. It's note perfection. It's like how? Well, and I know how. It's because they ground it out in Hamburg for 3 years before, they put in the work. They got there. They were like a legit band too, they could rip it up.
Yeah, for sure. The last one, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one too: Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Oh yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. It's anytime it comes on the radio, still stops me in my tracks. You still got to just listen through it all and just take it in and hear the different layers and the different pieces of it. I actually have the stems. I got the multi tracks for it, and just even hearing Freddie's vocals one note at a time, you're just like, how did this happen? Like this is just we are so lucky to have lived in a time when this kind of work of art is possible. Bohemian Rhapsody is it's just special. It's just so good.
It's incredible. Brian May is the reason I play guitar.
Really?
And it was very basic too. It wasn't even like any of his epic screaming stuff. It was literally the guitar solo to "We Will Rock You." I was like, that's the coolest fucking thing in the world, because like it's a song that's just Freddie's voice and the drums for so long, and then out of nowhere this guitar just comes screaming through, and I was like, oh my god, I want to be that guy. Like
totally. Yeah, it rips. It's so huge. It's crazy. We actually got to play with Queen, funded, and he let us play the Red Special.
Jesus.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, anyway, that moment is like, yeah, it's like hearing a jet take off or something. It's just like, it's wild.
It's so in your face. I love it. Every once in a while, I'll throw a little audible in on here, and I'll just add one just for the guests themselves. And again, no wrong answers to these, but the special Andrew one hit wonder question I got: Nate or Jack? Just kidding. You don't have to answer.
That is so funny. They both bring so much to anything they do. They are both monster talents and great dudes, and I got nothing bad to say about either of them ever.
For sure.
That's a really gun to my head. I still probably couldn't give you an answer because they both are just like brothers.
For sure. From one Nadar to another, I got to say, I've always been a fan just based on that alone.
Sure, yeah.
So oddly, timing wise, I just realized while researching this that next Tuesday is the 10th anniversary of the Facebook post that you guys posted saying that you were taking a break.
Wow.
And I would like to just officially, from a listener standpoint, say this is a very long break. You might want to check in with each other.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do. We never talk about the band. We talk, but like never. But like Nate and I talk about basketball mostly, and his kids or whatever. Jack and I don't talk about the band. I just saw Jack, and usually when I see Jack, the band will come up a little bit, but this time nothing. No band talk at all.
That's good.
10 years that post, yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, 10 years. Like what it was a synergy of time, and I bet that feels like yesterday. Like I bet those 10 years don't feel like 10 years, do they?
No, they really don't. That's really interesting. I mean, I got a dog around the same time who I don't know if you heard her when she came in and whimpered a minute ago because she's like wants a snack. Uh, that feels even like it's just an instant, it's like, man, Carly's getting old already. Like she was just little. How are we reaching the end of her life already? I got her when she was a couple years old already. So if it's wild how fast time passes. The older you get, the more you're like, wow, years aren't that long at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta really,
It goes it goes by so fast, like, and
uh,
it's just getting faster.
yeah.
The second half of this is the top 10 countdown. We kind of talked about it, but Jawn can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be music, can be anything. Kevin Allison from The State once brilliantly said that Philadelphians use the word Jawn like Smurfs use the word Smurf. So you feel free to make this be whatever you want. But number one is, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were a kid?
Uh, well, for whatever reason in my head, Jawn has a little bit of overlap with Grail. And so for me, when I think about like my first Jawn, the thing that comes to mind is like the first shoe that I really wanted. And it was a Nike Air Max. It was like the white swoosh with the black and and purple, like some purple details. It was like Air Max like 94. I don't remember what it is exactly, but that shoe to me was like the dream, the absolute dream. And I never got it as a kid, nor have I gone back and gotten it as an adult now that I could if I wanted to, because I think I just kind of like holding it as like this thing.
Yeah,
But that's what comes to mind. The first
I like
Jawn,
that.
the
I
Air
like
Max.
that. I
Yeah.
also feel like you should track that down. Like, treat yourself.
I think they reissued them in that colorway, so I probably could find it. That's a good, that maybe I'll finally feel like an adult if I do that. I'll be like, I have actually grown up. I'm not a little idiot child anymore. I can have the shoe I want.
That's
Even,
so cool.
yeah.
You gotta give yourself the wish fulfillments.
Sure.
Number two, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
I am very into my espresso machine. Uh,
Yeah.
love it. I also don't use it every day because it feels so decadent to me. Um, I usually just drink black coffee. So like the rare chance I make my own nut milk and I froth my latte with my nut milk and my fancy thing and my grinder. And that to me is like the Johnniest of Johns, and maybe like I do it maybe 4 times a week, let's say. And it's a very special treat every time.
That's cool. I like the process. Like I can completely understand getting obsessed, or not obsessed, but like getting into like just the steps and creating something. That is creating something.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a ceremonial ritual kind of a deal for me. Like it's not just like like the black coffee's whatever. I'll make a bunch and slam it and survive, and I love it too. But like that is like the holy thing. The the sounds and the smells of it all. Got a
Yeah.
great nut recipe if you're interested.
I would love it. I would love it. Number three, what was the first concert you ever saw?
Ringo Starr and the All Star Band.
Really?
Hmm.
We were supposed to see him last summer, and then he got sick, or not last fall, I guess, when he got sick and had to cancel like 3 dates, and one of them was
Okay.
the Philly date. But they rescheduled it for this summer, so hopefully I'll get to finally see him.
Then he's got a new album out too, so hopefully
Yeah,
and it's good. So I mean, hopefully he'll play some of it.
the Billy Strings songs on there are just killer.
Yeah,
They're so good.
yeah, yeah. But man, Billy, Michigan boy, he's killing it too.
Yeah. Where was that show at? Obviously in Michigan, but
It was the like this big fair like it's like a state fairgrounds kind of thing. All I really remember is there was like hay on the ground and the woman in front of us threw up and then they were it was like these folding wooden chairs, like a sea of them, and the woman was standing on her chair. I had never really been around drunk people before, and I didn't really know what was going on. But standing on the chair and dancing, and then I think my parents were just kind of like, what do these kids think is going on? Anyway, the woman like fell backwards, and my dad like caught her and like gently pushed her back up. It's like I mostly remember that about the concert. I couldn't tell you what he played.
It's awesome. I love it. I love a good concert memory.
Right.
Uh, Number four, what was the last live show you saw? Last concert?
I just saw Joan Shelley and Nathan Salzberg, who, if you're not familiar, Joan Shelley is this amazing singer-songwriter. She was based in Louisville, and now they just moved up to Northern Michigan with their daughter, and she is so good. Unbelievable songwriter. Nathan on guitar is just otherworldly. So the two of them together are just magic, you know. And as people, they're lovely too, but like they have something really captivating when they play together. And then they used a couple Metal Bubble Trio members to do bass and drums. So like get to see like my guys with them was like, yes, this is cool. That was the last one. That was last week. It was really good.
Super cool. I dig that. Number five, what was your favorite concert? Best live show you ever saw?
Hmm. The best live show I ever saw. Let's see. This isn't going to be a very exciting answer because I don't think they're like a band that a lot of people know. But some friends of mine from the earlier days of my touring, they're called Color Revolt, and they are really good. They've got a couple albums that are still, around. They're on Spotify, whatever. Uh, they were a band that we toured with. They're from Mississippi, and we would tour around that area. And they kind of made a leap. They started out being a band called Fletcher, and then they changed their name to Color Revolt, which when they did that, they kind of like leveled up their artistry as well. They kind of became a new band, even though it was all the same people and some of the same songs. They played this show in Mississippi, and I just remember it being just completely electrifying. And they closed with a cover of Twist and Shout by the Beatles, and like a screaming, like melodic, kind of Southern Gothic music that is like almost in like shades of Modest Mouse, but shades of Nirvana, playing their own amazing songs and then closing it out with Twist and Shout. It was just outrageous. It was so good. Um, that to me stands as one of the best musical moments of it. Like watching a show like that, you feel like you're bulletproof or something. You feel like this, like I am like ascending here. That's how it felt to me. It felt like I imagine watching like Refused or um I don't know, the Beastie Boys or something would have been. Like it felt like that to me.
Incredible answer. I love it. Number six, who have you never seen live that you wish you could have? They can be living or dead.
The Beastie Boys. Never got to see them, but I'll bet it was awesome.
Oh, me too.
That
Yeah,
was a lot of fun.
for
Uh,
sure.
that if I hadn't just referred to them, I wonder who I would have picked. I never saw Nirvana. Would have loved to see Nirvana. Um, I haven't seen Bob Dylan, and I don't think I want to, but I maybe wish I could have seen him in 1968 or something. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him. I've seen him. I saw him once at a festival. And it was like a checking a box, but it just didn't scratch the itch that I wanted it to be,
totally. Yeah.
if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
it
but
wasn't like he was
you
bad.
have seen him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Oh, sorry, real quick.
no, yeah.
One of the other best concerts that just popped into my head based on what I was saying about Color Revolt, I got to see Rage Against the Machine, and that felt like that. It was like seeing Rage. It was cool.
Cool. Hell yeah. Number seven, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish people pay more attention to.
Cabbage.
The
I
vegetable?
love
Yeah.
the vegetable. I love cabbage. You can slice it real fine and mix it with an egg and some salt and pepper and make like a pizza crust or a bread thing out of it. Goes great with anything. I love
Say,
cabbage.
I like that. I like
Thai
that.
food, use it as noodles for like a pad thai. Um, non-food related, I would say that let's see, everybody knows that crew neck sweatshirts are great, right?
I don't
Nobody
think they do, but they are
really?
fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even wearing one right now, but like a crew neck is the usual pretty much every day in the winter. I
Yeah.
love a
Great answer. Great answer. Number nine, name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
Oh man, this is a rough one because it's not always a good thing. but Weezer. I will listen to every Weezer thing, even if it is just trash.
Everybody who listens to this show is now preparing themselves to hear the same thing that I've said 50 million times, but I'm going to say it 50 million and one. People, prepare yourself. I've been working on a project for the past 5 years called "Do I Even Like Weezer?" and it is me going song by song and trying to understand. And I have like a spreadsheet and all. I'm like doing a full quantify research project on whether or not I actually like this band. And some of the things that I've discovered is that my problem is I call it the Simpsons problem. All right. And what it is that the Simpsons are now being written by people who grew up with the Simpsons. So they're
Totally.
trying to write The Simpsons instead of writing a project. And ever since Rivers started working with other songwriters, I think other songwriters are influencing trying to write Weezer stuff as
Yes.
opposed to personal stuff from Rivers. That's kind of
Man, you absolutely nailed it. That is 100% what's happening. Where it's like these are some like sonic tendencies and trademarks, and it sounds like Weezer, but it doesn't have that like beating heart of like angst and power and beauty of whatever. And yeah, The Simpsons, same thing. Like I go back and watch The Simpsons and realize like these guys defined humor from season 2 to season. You can make the case that it went as far as 11, whatever. Uh, they defined what modern humor is even. And now you get people that are like our age that are like senses of humor formed by that,
yes.
and being like, this is what Homer would say, but they maybe don't even know what Homer would say because I don't know. That's the perfect comparison. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. I
Yeah.
hope I hope to read this when it's done.
It is someday. I've told myself. I even wrote. I started bullet journaling, and it's in my future. The Weezer story. So like it,
Right.
we'll make it happen this year.
Okay,
I
please,
can't
please.
erase. You can't erase in a bullet journal.
No, you can't. Oh, well, the other, I love bullet journaling, and I've got a whatever. I'm not going to get into my nerdy notebook system right now, but uh, I hope that I don't know how far you are into their catalog. You're going chronologically, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some very bright spots. Red Album has some amazing moments. The White Album has some amazing moments. Van Weezer even has some amazing moments. It's like when they get it, they still got it.
Hmm.
Did you listen to OK Human?
I did. It to me, OK Human feels like what I wanted them to do maybe 10 years before they did it. And I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's one of those things where like I know what they were tapping into and I just don't know that they hit it.
Totally. That puts a beautiful point on it. I love the chorus of Alu Gobi is really good, but the rest of it kind of sucks. The rest of
Yeah.
the album and the rest of that song, even you're just like, that is one of the best choruses you've ever done. And then the lyrics and the rest of the song are just throw them in the bin, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Red Album though, because the Red Album, well, bonus tracks from the Red Album has my favorite Weezer song of all time, which is Miss Sweeney. I think
That's
Miss
a great
Sweeney
one.
is like peak Weezer. Like if
It is,
someone
yeah.
says, "What do you want?" This is what I want. Like
Yeah, like get weird with it. Like the cadence that he sings that one at and the weird monotone melody of it. And then it opens up into this. Yes, that is a great
right.
tune. That is a great
So
tune for
good, so good. The 10th and final of the top 10 countdown. What is your favorite Jawn of all time? Can be anything you want it to be.
Hmm. Okay. One that comes to mind is there's this LA clothing company called Smock that makes like in-house stuff for the store. And Smock somehow made the greatest jacket ever. It's just like a very basic mechanic jacket with like a brown twill. It's not like that special, but like the detail of it and like the perfect fabric, the way that perfectly the sleeves are perfect for me. It's like I put on this jacket and was like, oh my God, this is made for me. This is perfect. And as a gawky, weird person with long arms and a strange, lumpy body, to find a piece of clothing that really works for me is like a weird gift from God. It felt really good. Really makes me feel like that's how I want to feel and live, is in this jacket. That's probably the favorite Jawn of all time. But
It's
if I
awesome.
must say, if you're gonna twist my arm and make me do a food one, then I'm gonna say the Nancy's yogurt. Nancy's grass-fed, plain, full-fat yogurt. It's really good.
I love it. Two very perfect answers. That's exactly what I want out of this question, is like when people get hyper specific about something. And like, it's funny you said that about a jacket, because like this sweatshirt I'm wearing
Yeah.
is falling apart, and it's literally the greatest sweatshirt I've ever owned. I made it myself. Well, I didn't make it myself, but I did. I played disc golf, or at least
Oh,
I used
sweet.
to.
Okay.
And this was the disc golf course that I used to do work on. And I made this sweatshirt, and it came in the mail. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, like I'm going to wear my own product now for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. It's
That's
just,
a good feeling.
yeah, it's like
I
a
can
nice
see it.
hug.
I can see the goal in it now. And then is it George
Yeah.
Washington?
Yeah, because it's the Fort Washington disc golf course.
Nice.
Yeah. Shout
That's
out to my
cool.
friends.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So what made it such a good sweatshirt? Is it like the feel or the
The
fit or
feel, just it was one of those things where like I was afraid to wash it for the longest time, because I was like, oh no, is it going to lose its feeling? And then I washed it, and somehow it settled into even a better feel. Like, it's just the material. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they did, but there must have been some magic in the old silk hat they found or something. But oh boy, I tell you.
Oh, that's awesome. Love
It's
it.
so cool. So the album Cucumber Metal Bubble Trio is out now on all streaming services. Is there physical of this coming out?
Funny you should mention. I just literally yesterday picked up the physicals from Third Man Records here in Detroit, Jack White's plant, and they are beautiful. They look great. I'm so excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I to get to go into the record plant and see them make it and like press it down and you see it squish out, and like it's cool. So there's vinyl, um, and I'm excited about it. They made me like some special, like the record is like this natural resin because they said that's what sounds the best, and it's what Jack used on his new album, and so like what Jack White did for No Name. Black is apparently the best sound, actually. That's why it's the standard.
Huh.
Black sound, but I wanted to do something else. But anyway, natural resin is the second best. But they made me a bunch of these special, like limited one-off weirdo scrappy ones, and just like threw them in a box. And like one of the records are 180 gram. They're like the nice vinyl, but they were like some of these turned out like 300 or 400 gram. They're like super heavy. They're like I've checked some of them out, and it's crazy. They're really wild. But anyway, yes, their short answer is yes. We got some vinyl press.
Oh, it's killer. I am definitely picking up a copy of it. If anybody wants to track you down, like on the socials or whatnot, what's the best way to find you?
Metal Bubble Trio on Instagram. I know a lot of people are leaving Instagram, but I kind of have to stay put and keep spreading the word. But yeah, Metal Bubble Trio, metalbubbletrio.com.
Fantastic. Andrew, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I'm so excited. I had a great time, and I hope you did too.
I did, man. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.